Adolescent Development, a presentation by Lisa Dispenza for ADUC 526, Overview of Adolescent Psychology for the University of Phoenix. A presentation for future middle school teachers on adolescent development, what to expect during the middle school years. Key stages of physical development. The teen years is a period during an individual's life of physical and sexual maturation. The body changes for preparation of reproduction, and both the female and the male body becomes distinctly different. In the beginning of adolescence, one of the most apparent physical changes is the growth spurt. Children not only grow in height, but their body proportions change. Factors affecting growth are both genetic and environmental. The onset of puberty. Puberty is triggered by the hypothalamus, releasing hormones to both stimulate and regulate the growth process. In females, the ovaries secrete the hormone estrogen and progesterone. In males, the testes secrete testosterone. In each sex, the hormones help to develop distinguishing characteristics of the given sex. During this maturation process, teenage boys' sex organs grow. They tend to have nocturnal emissions or spontaneous ejaculations while they sleep at night. Teenage girls begin their menstrual cycle while their sex organs grow as well. It is imperative for parents to discuss these changes to help the teen feel comfortable with the changes occurring in their bodies. The maturation process during puberty also includes the development of secondary sexual characteristics. For both sexes, this includes the appearance of pubic hair. A male's voice begins to change and deepen. There may be significant muscular development, and they begin to show facial hair. In females, their breasts begin to develop, and they develop a more rounded female figure. The implications of physical development. It is important to note that the maturation process can be a difficult one for adolescents. It may be even more difficult for the individuals that mature either earlier or later than their peers. This has been found to put individuals at risk for poor psychological behavioral adjustments. It is also important to keep in mind that the studies show that most teens are not happy with their bodies, especially girls. This may have a negative impact on their overall levels of self-esteem and lead to potentially self-destructive behavior. Cognitive development. Not only is the brain flooding the body with hormones, but they are competing with several other variables in their developing brain. Most people who work with adolescents know and understand that a teen's brain is not fully developed. Most commonly discussed is that of the prefrontal cortex. It is only just beginning to develop and will not be fully developed into the individual's 20s. This is the area of the brain that is associated with more complex thinking and decision making. The positive side to this new brain activity is that a teenager is now able to complete more complex thinking tasks. Prior to this, children have difficulty with abstract reasoning skills and have difficulty reasoning with situations that they may not have had direct contact with, such as having difficulty reasoning with hypothetical situations. During adolescence, this part of the brain, the part associated with working towards a goal and evaluating behaviors and situations, begins to develop. Most commonly, we hear that this is the area of the brain that, since it is not fully developed, impedes the teen from evaluating future consequences of their actions. Another area of the brain that is developing is the striatum. This is the part of the brain that is associated with rewards and shows increased brain activity during the adolescent years. Paired with an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex inhibiting the ability of long-term thinking, this is a physiological reason that teens are often thought of partaking in high-risk activities. Rewards seem much more rewarding to this part of the brain during the teen years. Moral and social development. Moral and social development go hand in hand. The development of morals begins with the family unit, since these are the individuals that have the first and most direct contact with the growing child. As children grow into adolescence, they have increased cognitive ability and begin to reason and think for themselves. Various researchers have investigated moral development in the teenage years. As Piaget found in his research, when children were given the opportunity to interact with peers away from adults, they were provided with opportunities for cooperation and negotiation. In such situations, based on rules that their peer groups made, new standards were set. Kohlberg builds upon Piaget's finding and theorizes that most adolescents, as well as adults, are at the level of conventional moral reasoning, which is the second stage of moral development. This is driven by the desire to conform to social conventions. The influence of peers on moral and social development. Many adults view the adolescent years as a stage of rebellion. Carol Gilligan explained this stage that although adolescents may agree that adults do have the authority to govern, teens feel that they do not have the right to interfere with their personal choices. This may be where conflicts arise, because the generations may have differing outlooks on what should and should not be a personal choice, such as what type of clothing a teen should wear. Since a teen is trying to fit in and find their own identity, they are often in conflict with their parents. An individual's morals develop through interactions with the culture in which they are in, through a sense of wanting to belong. For example, when teens identify with child stars and the child star grows up to portray morals in opposition, often these influences may alter the adolescent's moral development. Emotional development. As discussed earlier, the teen's brain is highly reactive to rewards, and this may cause a flood of the neurotransmitter known as dopamine. Dopamine helps the brain to regulate movements and emotional responses. Since there are higher levels of dopamine in a teen's brain, it may cause quick fluctuations in their mood. This chemical causes the brain to seek rewards by taking actions. It is important to keep this in mind in the classroom and be mindful not to reward challenging behavior, such as allowing a class clown to act out and receive positive reinforcement from his or her peers. Culture. Culture is made up of one's belief systems, based on social norms comprised of such traits as race, religion, language, and other identifying characteristics. The beliefs that one learns stems from their culture build the foundations of morality, beginning with the family unit. Often subcultures with a subset of beliefs arise from a culture. Individuals may merge the belief system of their own family's morality as they become part of a subculture within the culture. The influences of adolescent societies on moral and social development. Adolescence is a time where individuals are seeking a sense of identity. It is through that pursuit that they are looking for a sense of belonging. In trying to fit in, They are easily influenced by their peers. As earlier noted, their brain is hypersensitive to rewards. This extends to the feeling of validation from their peers. Part of a teen society these days is their online communities. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, statistics gathered from a regularly conducted research from the Pew Research Center on Technology Use in the United States found that 94% of teens who go online using a mobile device do so daily. And in a study published in 2015, 92% of all teens report going online daily. This is including 24% who report that they go online almost constantly. There are many studies that claim a developing brain can actually become addicted to technology. The results of this study show that social media affecting development in a more positive way. Teens surveyed reported an increased level of confidence and lowered depression, causing teens to be more outgoing and feeling more popular and less shy. Teens also feel social media helps them to feel sympathetic to others and better about themselves. It's almost as if an entirely new culture has developed, known as adolescence. This is a world in which adults may not be welcome and often do not understand. With teens living on their mobile devices, they have begun to develop a new language as a result of this emerging subculture.
Dude, I'm gonna be leaning tonight. Like, I will be faded. If I were to text my friends, hey, do you have a plug? It means, hey, do you have a plug for alcohol or any illegal thing? We would say something like, stay woke if they're talking about some sort of racial or gender thing that's not alright.
Sips tea means minding your own business. When you overhear someone saying that they failed a test, sips tea.
Lit means that something was awesome, or it was like too cool to really describe with any other term. The party that I went to was so lit.
The word kek comes from World of Warcraft, which spawns out of the language of Orcish and came from the internet.
Fire refers to how good something is, like the quality of it, or it could be how good the weed is.
Slide into the DMs is when you have a thing for somebody, and so you privately message them in order to like get in contact with them. Like, if I don't have your number, I'm gonna slide into your DMs to try and flirt with you and get you on my bus.
Okay, smash means to like have sex with someone, but it's not like, I guess it wouldn't be like someone that you really care about.
If you do something really cool, I would say that's filthy. Like something like it blows my mind, I'd say that's filthy. Or something like I wasn't able to do, I would say that's filthy. The way you'd use finna is if you were going someplace, you would say I'm finna to go to the mall. It means like you're fixing to, or you're going to go to the mall.
Moral reasoning and self-control. Teens may demonstrate limited self-control. It is often noted that teens partake in high-risk behavior, such as experimentation with drugs, sexual exploration, and other thrill-seeking activities. Many theorize that this is in part due to the adolescent's inability to think long-term and evaluate the consequences. Many feel that these behaviors are a direct result from peer pressure. Physiologically speaking, teens' brains, as earlier described, are prone to such behaviors due to their highly sensitive reward system in their brain. David Elkind's observation of the adolescent being egocentric. They always feel that they are, as he describes, on stage. This concept may hinder the adolescent's ability to control emotions. For example, a child's self-image is amplified because of this. If they feel self-conscious, they could potentially misinterpret innocent situations. Implications in the classroom. I have a student who has difficulties getting along with her peers. If there is a group laughing in her vicinity, she often thinks that they are making fun of her. She is then likely to lash out, ultimately making the situation worse, and in turn actually causing the students to begin to make fun of her. This is a vicious cycle. In contrast, you may have an overly confident teen who just assumes that everyone loves him or her. They want to be the center of attention, and they often become that disruptive student to prove to him or herself that everyone is, in fact, looking at them. This relates to Colbert's theory of conventional moral reasoning, where moral thought is based on the desire to conform to social convention. It is all about the perceptions of what society is expecting from the individual. Increased cognitive ability, where a teen is able to evaluate their surrounding, leads to a sense of pretending to be what they are not. In other words, hypocrisy. Teenagers are expected to begin to plan for their future. However, they may not have yet developed the cognitive ability to truly grasp such a concept. They are expected to demonstrate scholarly behaviors in class, yet since many may not be interested, they pretend to be while daydreaming. They are expected to share the beliefs of their parents, even in instances when they may not agree with them. They are taught not to let their peers know if they hurt their feelings or if they make them angry when they really are upset. They are expected not to engage in behavior that will hurt or disappoint their parents, so they do not dare talk to them. This internal conflict between their wants and societal expectations leads them to behave hypocritically. In other words, since an adolescent is now able to conceptualize the expectations of society, they go beyond their real selves, and they put on a facade to conform to the expectations of what others have for them. Adolescents begin to develop their ability to think about abstract concepts in what Piaget describes as formal operations. These skills include logical thinking and deductive reasoning. It also gives them the ability of systematic planning. Piaget notes that adolescents do not do so consistently. Furthermore, it must be noted that individuals often regress in utilizing this type of strategic thinking when they feel anger, or they may be upset, or even feel rushed. It is no secret that a teen is highly emotional, so subsequently, regression in logical thinking is inevitable. Summing up.
Using Powtoon.
Remember, one size does not fit all. While some students may have the intrinsic motivation to perform well in school and behave in class, driven by the expectations of either good grades or parental approval, others may need to be motivated by more immediate rewards such as praise or something tangible. As you enter your middle school classroom, keep in mind some of the many determining factors discussed here that drives the adolescent mindset, and try to use them to your advantage to manage and maintain order in your classroom and to motivate your students.